We are unironically living through the darkest period of entertainment. What do I mean by that? We have all of the ability, okay, all of the technology, all of the money available. The IP rights to your favorite franchise is likely owned by a big studio, meaning that, with the right amount of money, with the right amount of planning, with the right amount of skill, there could be fantastic stories told through different mediums time and time again, and we could just be swimming in superb content. But instead, what do we have? We got Cuckpin and a blind lawyer in Daredevil Born Again. We got Black Snape for the Harry Potter fans. Oh, we got female Aslan for Chronicles of Narnia enthusiasts. And we got Galadriel and Hera Hammerhand for Lord of the Rings. And it's like, it's not going to get better, man. It sucks because there's so many things that I love. And I know it's a story as old as time, and many people, who have more fondness for different franchises have already been through this. But it really is a toss-up between Lord of the Rings and probably Final Fantasy for things that I really care an awful lot about. And it's been the case for a very long time that there is more bad Final Fantasy games than there are good Final Fantasy games, but the peaks are very, very high, but unfortunately the valleys are very, very low. And on a sheer balance of iterations, I would have to say that, yeah, you're fighting an uphill battle when it comes to quantity, but when it comes to quality, I mean, it's a franchise that's very difficult to beat in gaming. And when it comes to cinema, like, you got the three greatest films of all time contrasted with a very ill-advised and very bloated trilogy, anime that is that in name only, adapting a couple of pages from the appendices and puts focus on a character that Tolkien didn't even bother to characterize at all. But because somebody thought, and that somebody we're going to be talking about here very shortly, thought that there was that untold story that really needed to be told, you ended up with War of the Rohirrim that came out, 6 months ago, and nobody remembers it. What do you think is going to, and God, man, that is something that I'm not looking forward to. I know it got pushed off to 2027, thank God, but Hunt for Gollum, man, I don't want to see Viggo back. I don't want to see Ian McKellen back. I don't want to see Andy Serkis again, even though, you know what, all three of those guys, they're a big reason as to why the Lord of the Rings trilogy is as great as it is. But them 20 years on, Viggo, and they're just going to de-age him because it's going to have to be Strider version of Aragorn running simultaneously with the events of the events of Fellowship, and Gandalf, when they decide to roll tape on this, Ian McKellen's going to be older than Christopher Lee was when they made the trilogy. It's a recipe for disaster because we have seen time and time again people that made the franchises what they were, that put pen to paper and made masterpieces, whenever they returned to certain works, Russell T Davies with Doctor Who, Patrick Stewart coming back and reprising his role, both as Professor X and as Jean-Luc Picard, not be able to do anything remotely close to their greatest works. It's something that that'll hurt if it's really bad. I hope it's good, but I mean, we've seen what the people that are going to be working on this are capable of, and Andy Serkis, God love him, he's going to be directing The Hunt for Gollum, but he also directed those Venom movies. Yeah, exactly. So, Lord of the Rings producer and writer reveals the ideal Tolkien story she wants to adapt. And I'm guessing, oh God, by the picture that is chosen right there, Aragorn's coronation, Elrond handing off his daughter. It's something that I noticed on a recent rewatch of Return of the King. It's just the phenomenal acting that is going on or during that scene by Hugo Weaving in the background, just all of the emotions that are running on his face. Like, you get something different every single time you watch those movies, and they're perfect. They really are. Or about as close as perfect as you can get. Car in the background of Fellowship notwithstanding. Fangorn Forest stuff in Two Towers. And the overpowered nature of the Army of the Dead and Return of the King notwithstanding, okay? But I imagine the story that she wants to tell is probably one that is, very much mirrored in the romance between Arwen and Aragorn, but no, just leave it alone. I don't want it. Okay. Phillipa Boyens, one of the screenwriters for Peter Jackson's, The Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit, as well as one of the producers on the animated War of the Rohirrim film. Yeah, exactly. Phillipa was the one who wanted to tell the story that Tolkien didn't tell and thought that it was so important, and she was really drawn by the character that wasn't even named during the story of Helm Hammerhand. God, Okay. And then just hearing some of the behind the scenes stuff in regards to Eowyn and her depiction as a shield maiden of Rohan falling for Aragorn. It's like, oh God, man, we're just so lucky. We are so lucky we got such great films at that point in time. It's just, why did everything have to suck in the aftermath? Anyways, film revealed which Tolkien story she would be her ideal to adapt. I'm sure it would be great. Back in December, while promoting War of the Rohirrim, Boyens spoke with Collider, where she was asked what her ideal Tolkien story to adapt would be if she had no restrictions. Boyens added, I love the story of Berion and Lúthien. Yep, there you go. In the Silmarillion. God, it would just... It's a great story. Don't get me wrong. It's exactly what I would fear for the Hunt for Gollum, where instead of just Aragorn going out there, finding Gollum, bringing him to Thranduil, you're going to have Arwen be that girl boss, be that made-up ranger for Fellowship, leading him by the nose. It's just, I don't want it. But yes, also there are threads of it, obviously, in Lord of the Rings. But you have Aragorn and Arwen, which is such a beautiful love story. But before that, there was Beren and it's Beren and Lúthien. It's not Lúthien and Beren, you hack. It's also an earlier age. Yes, it's the first age, which is the coolest age. And yeah, if we had proper storytellers, I would very much want somebody. Okay, I would want somebody to retell a bunch of those epic stories. Okay, all those battles against, Morgoth, his sacking of, Gondolin that involves multiple Balrogs. Like, it's an amazing ass story. Oh my God. They have different factions of elves turning on one another. It's really great. All of it's really great. I just don't trust any of those fantastic stories in the hands of these idiots. But also, yes, I'm sorry, it's also an earlier age, and it's kind of more mythic age, so you got some serious monsters. I love monsters, but you could bring into the storytelling. But also, she is such an incredible character of Lúthien. Yeah, there you go. And so there's some of her DNA, obviously, in Arwen and Galadriel. Jesus Christ. Yeah, there is. Yeah, there very much is. But even in these human characters, wait, what? They're elves. I think the courage to go down and face the thing that you're most terrified of. No, Beren does that because he has to steal back one of the Silmarils from Morgoth. I think I'm mixing that up a little bit. I have to refresh my memory on that story. But yeah, because Lúthien's father, is that Fëanor? Again, one of the high elves, it doesn't want to, sanction a marriage between a mortal man and his elven daughter. Okay, he needs to go ahead and prove his worth, stealing back a Silmaril. He accomplishes it, and, they just end up, going down a very tragic path. It would be a fantastic story. It really would be, a lot of action, a lot of high fantasy, a lot of romance as well. It's just, look at who gets all the center stage. And you'll wonder why you ended up with something as disposable garbage like War of the Rohirrim. Why you ended up having that stupid, superfluous love triangle in The Hobbit when those films, okay? Shout out to the M4 book edit. It's amazing stuff that guy did with just so much bloat that's in there, okay? The Hobbit movies, I like them a lot. And also on a recent rewatch, some of that CGI stuff really doesn't hold up all that well, especially in Battle of the Five Armies, okay? Like when Bilbo's on the ramparts, okay? This one sticks out in my mind because I was watching it. It's like, Jesus Christ, that's really not aging all that well, okay? Like he's just sitting there inspecting the Arkenstone on the ramparts of Erebor, and it's just, it's very obvious, and shit like that is not going to age, okay? And that's a movie that came out, 2014 or something like that, so it's only a decade old. But then you go back and you watch any of it, okay? You go back to the earliest days, okay, with the Fellowship and all of that stuff. The Balrog looks amazing. Going through Moria looks fantastic, believable, and congruent with the story that is being told. In talking about doing some of the Snow White stuff, okay, I compare and contrast that with Disney's CGI dwarves with what Peter Jackson did with the 13 Dwarves of the Hobbit movie. And he was even talking about, yeah, if we had the technology for it now, we would have just CGI'd all the dwarves. It's like, oh God. There's a reason why there are very few movies that are coming out right now that are really going to stand the test of time, because they aren't given that same level of attention and care, the amount of forethought and planning and respect for the source material that you were getting 20, 40 years ago at this point in time. Jesus Christ. But yeah, enough bickering about that. Okay, because there's more Lord of the Rings related stuff that really will just go ahead and drain your spirit because, yeah, a Lord of the Rings theme park incoming. Yeah, something else that's, very respectful to thoughts, feelings, and values of J.R.R. Tolkien. Because that's something that he would want. He would want the UK countryside. He would just want it all dug up so that you could have this homage to industry with his likenesses and creations just writ large across all of these iron monstrosities. That's exactly what he would want. I'm so happy that there are such great stewards in place to maintain and uphold his legacy. I'm so grateful that this is the timeline that we're in. Lord of the Rings theme park incoming. Yes, what can we expect for Universal theme parks? Yes, in the UK. Jesus Christ. And yeah, as people are pointing out, and I mean, great gift that you have right there. Okay, but yeah, Tolkien continues to roll in his grave. Train wreck incoming. Tolkien would condemn for all hell this blasphemy. Yeah, Grok created an image of Tolkien with his hands on his head, and gently weeping. Because yeah, it's the antithesis of what he would want and desire. Man who described himself as a hobbit in all but size, where he just simply would enjoy a nice quiet life, enjoying the small comforts in life. A good meal, a little bit of pipe weed, and nice quiet living. No, just make a theme park of his greatest works. It's so sad. It's so sad, man. Because for a very, very, very long time, you had the books and you had the trilogy, and that was it. And that's all you needed. And you had a well-respected, well-beloved franchise that had very few... Well, you also had, the Ralph Bakshi stuff. The animated Hobbit and Lord of the Rings works as well. But yeah, all of those were doing the best by the IP possible. But now, here we are, and it's just clearly not the case. And it really gets you down, and it just really makes you wonder. It's like, why even bother moving forward? Okay, and that's apparently the take of the real Lady Galadriel. Cate Blanchett says, "I'm serious about giving up acting. There are a lot of things I want to do with my life, and none of them involve what the hell is going on in Hollywood right now. This is wild." Cate Blanchett is surprising fans by revealing in an upcoming issue of Radio Times, that she is not going to be an actor forever. That's not to say retirement is imminent for the two-time Oscar winner for The Aviator and Blue Jasmine. Well, I could think of another work that she is arguably more famous for, and we're talking Borderlands. But there will come a time when Blanchett leaves the profession behind. My family rolls their eyes every time I say it, but I mean it. I'm serious about giving up acting. There are a lot of other things that I want to do with my life. Blanchett most recently starred opposite Michael Fassbender in the Steven Soderbergh acclaimed spy drama Black Bag, which had earned $21 million at the domestic box office. I thought I heard about that. But that's about it. She told the publication that she spent a lifetime getting comfortable with the feeling of being uncomfortable in the public eye as a famous actor. Yeah, back when there were famous actors. Now they just have people regurgitating uninspired roles by a bunch of people with zero life experience. When you go on a talk show or even here now, and then you see sound bites of things that you said pulled out and italicized. They sound really loud. I'm not that person. I make more sense in motion. It's been a long time to remotely get comfortable with the idea of being photographed. I always felt like I'm on the periphery of things, so I'm always surprised when I belong anywhere. I go with curiosity into whatever environment I'm in, not expecting to be accepted or welcomed. Oh man, now seeing stuff like that and to hear comments like that, you don't get that from people. And now I'm really sounding like an old man. Just get off my lawn, stop tearing up my countryside. Just have some respect, God damn it. You just don't. It just doesn't happen now. Okay, and to see people like that just exit gracefully from public life. You know what they're being replaced with, and it's the likes of Morfydd Clark, who's going to have, the most time, already does have the most time as Galadriel, as that quote-unquote supposed character, and that's what we're replacing this stuff with. One of the best interpretations of a character of all time being supplanted by a 5'3" Welsh midget, and you wonder why everybody's so nihilistic about the future. Long term, I'm an optimist, but in the short term, I wouldn't say pessimist, I would just say realist, because when you take a look around and you can honestly assess the landscape as anything other than absolute tripe, you're just lying to yourself. I'm not out here advocating for the black pill, but I'm also not out here telling you that everything's going to be fine, it's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of suffering, it's going to be a lot of pain, it's going to be a lot of trials and tribulations, but coming out the other side might actually be worth it. It's just, how much more is it going to cost us? I don't know. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.